It's a Saturday. We're feeling honored to be here.
Oh,
so
you should.
It's a weekend, and you never do the weekend ones.
No, because, family and
Well, thank you for your
things.
time.
Yeah. He's got a newborn
you're
at
welcome.
home.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, a newborn
Thanks.
baby girl.
Yeah, she's, as of yesterday, she was 8 months old, actually.
and not super newborn.
And what's her
but-
name?
Hadley.
Hadley, that's cute.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. With this podcast, I love to keep it just more fly on the wall kind of, rather than something that's like highly structured of like, here's a 3-minute introduction about who the guest is. Like,
like what we did yesterday at Fox was very structured. We had a limited time, but we were happy to be on with Kentucky Taste Buds, and we're happy to be here to talk about Vendor Social, and
exciting times.
Yeah.
Big things come in.
Yeah. So what was that experience like being on TV? You said you don't do it all the time. So
No.
did you enjoy it?
I did.
Was it scary going in?
It was scary at first, but then it's like, it's just live TV, right? People are going to watch it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But it was exciting. It was exciting to go on and talk about the Vendor Social, what we're doing.
Yep.
And get people excited to look at our Instagram, Facebook, website to kind of see what's going on, because there was a lot that we didn't get to talk about. Yeah. That is like the exciting things that's happening with the Vendor Social.
Like what?
So we have a mobile app coming up. So if you think of all the personality quizzes that you take, it's kind of like that, but for wedding and event planning. So you would go on and you would answer some questions about like what you're looking for, what your budget is, and it's just going to have a short list of vendors that actually meet what you're looking for. So it's exciting because it's a quiz, it's interactive, and it gets people excited downloading the app.
Yeah, it saves hours of time too. Event planning in general, as well as wedding planning, is also like insanely stressful. And there's so many brides, because I do day of coordination for my other business, Sass and Bluegrass. So like, I know the stresses of wedding planning. She recently got married, so she knows. Spending hours on the computer looking for vendors that was not in budget.
Yeah.
And then having to call them and email them, and then only to go through and talk to 10 different vendors of the same type to settle on one. And my husband and I spent hours.
Yeah.
Stressful nights.
He's in the background
It's like, I'm glad that's over. But we're trying to bring some fun to it.
Yeah. So when you say bring some fun to it, what does that look like?
The quiz.
Okay, so tell me about the quiz. Like, what are some of the things I can expect?
Yeah, so for instance, if you're a venue, you would have all your information on there of like how much it costs if you include air conditioning, if you include tables and chairs with it, because those are some additional costs that you wouldn't think of. So me going through the quiz, I would be like, okay, obviously I want tables and chairs. I don't want to have surprising expenses, and I want air conditioning. I want bathrooms for the people attending my weddings, and or my wedding. Sorry, singular.
She said one wedding.
Already anticipating another one.
Whoa.
How you feel about that?
In the background, like,
our wedding. So it's just, if I can have a short list, it'll make it more fun, because then I can sit down with my significant other and actually be like, okay, these are the 2 that I want to reach out to instead of the 20.
Yeah.
And so then we can like actually do the fun stuff of like, I don't know, wine tastings, food tastings.
And enjoy the process of planning. And it's not just for weddings too. Like, we want to promote that you can also do, use our app and our website and our platforms in general for event planning, literally a baby shower, a 30th birthday party, if you need a party bus. Like, our platforms are literally going to be for anyone planning any type of event. And we're also going to have vendors like who make gifts, like even like for a bachelorette party or a wedding favor, so we're going to have multiple different genres of vendors. Another thing that we're really excited for is our upcoming bridal show. So we're going to be hosting a lot of networking events for the vendors that are exclusively for vendors only. And we're also going to be hosting bridal shows and wedding shows for the community to come out to. They're going to be free to attend. Our upcoming show is July 9th at SMK venue in Richmond, Kentucky. And it's from noon to 4. So we have a food truck, a coffee truck, and some great vendors signed up already. And we are still accepting vendors. So I don't know exactly when this will air, but if it airs before July 9th, vendors send us a message.
And even like your friends, like we have permanent jewelry that's going to be there. Come out, get some coffee, get some lunch, get a friendship bracelet, it's a fun day for everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's smart, what you're doing. Because obviously, there are event planners out there, but they could be pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, so if that's not in your wheelhouse, like something that you can afford, then you're just SOL having to go to Google or Pinterest or like whatever else you're doing, right? So totally makes sense to give people an affordable place that they could go. Obviously, it helps vendors too, right? Because it's driving traffic to them.
Yeah,
so
and we have full transparency. So if you go on our website, you'll see the range that it's going to cost. So it's not only me, someone planning an event, that I can see if it fits in my budget before reaching out, but also the vendors. They're going to have individuals reaching out that are actually serious about their business.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah. So who are some of the vendors that we can expect to see on there? I mean, we talked about weddings.
Permanent jewelry for sure.
Yeah.
And we're also going to have Spots Gelato. I know you've met with Beth before. She was on the podcast. Yeah, she'll be there.
Didn't she just do something big? Did she?
She has her trucks for weddings.
Okay.
And I know she does a lot of weddings.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
And they keep expanding. They have a lot of locations.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we're also going to have a new business. She actually makes backdrops. For weddings, and she's actually going to do a backdrop for us at the
Sunshine
event.
Design.
Yeah.
Out of Louisville. Yeah. And then we have Sass and the Bluegrass, SMK venue, which is my family event venue. We have some DJs on there.
Yeah.
And there's more to come. Like, we are in the process of onboarding.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
We're startup
vendors right now.
Who's somebody that maybe is not a good fit? Because I know it's easy to talk about like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's good to talk about too, maybe like who it's not for.
I think where we want to be fully transparent, we don't really have certain vendors that we wouldn't take. I think if a vendor is interested, because everyone's wedding event is going to be so different and everyone has different preferences. We just signed on Ahava, Center for Spiritual Living, and they are LGBTQ plus friendly. And they really want to stress that. And they're very economical for people who don't have a huge $10,000, $20,000 budget for a venue. So we want to include everyone and be pretty inclusive and make sure we can ideally get a vendor for anyone planning an event or wedding.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how did this come about? How did you two meet and get this going?
Yeah. So Sass and the Bluegrass was actually, her team was the event planners for my wedding.
Okay.
The day of
that's
coordinators.
Really cool.
Yeah. And so
is that how you met then? Like you reached out
we
to
coordinated
Sass?
her wedding. When she recently got married, we coordinated her wedding.
Yeah. And then Miranda and I initially met at the holiday market at SMK venue. She knows my sister. And so we linked up there. I worked with her team. And then whenever I came up with the idea of the vendor social, I was like, Miranda's the perfect partner because she's like very excited. She knows her marketing. She can sell. She can do everything from that aspect where like me, I'm like just figuring out the operations in the back scene. So it's great to have a partner like her that's able to get out there, especially in central Kentucky, and do her thing and meet with these vendors. And
you sat on this idea for over a year, right?
Before I got married, yeah.
Yeah. So Madison, this is like her baby and this is her original idea. She's the CEO and founder, and she basically is solving a major pain point in the industry. Of course, there are other I don't even really want to say competitors. I want to say indirect competitors, maybe, who are similar to us. But what makes us so different is that, one, we're hyper local. We are providing vendors with real leads. There's been others out there, big corporate companies. I'm not going to say their name for legal reasons, but have provided vendors with false leads, perhaps, or made all these promises and charged vendors thousands of dollars for monthly packages. And our whole thing is we want to be affordable for real vendors in central Kentucky. We want to make event planning and wedding planning easier. So we're trying to have it be a win-win for all parties involved.
Yeah.
And, we're going to check in monthly with our vendors. We're going to do networking events beyond just the app and the website. We plan on being pretty active with our vendors and actually making a connection with them, which I think is pretty valuable.
Yeah. So how are you advertising right now and trying to attract those vendors?
Yeah, a lot of it is social media right now. So you'll see some targeted ads on Instagram and Facebook. And word of mouth is huge right now. So we're talking to you today to discuss our business. We met with Fox 56 yesterday. And we will see more once the app launches. So we are in test trial mode right now. Which is very exciting, but
things are finally coming together. Yeah. So building an app is not for the weak.
It is not. No.
We'll tell you that.
What are some of the big challenges with that?
A lot.
Finding the right partner to help build the app was probably the hardest. Yeah. And now that we feel very confident in the team that's working on it, it's
such
not
a breath
hard
of fresh air.
Or it's not easy, but it's definitely easier than it initially was.
I think storyboarding the app, making sure that everything, that you're including all the components, like a dashboard, and including like all the right questions and the data. Like obviously our app is going to be pretty complex. And so we just want to make sure that everything's as polished as possible before we release it to the public.
Yeah.
So that's why we're really hyping up the all the other platforms too, because those are already ready. So we're trying to hype up our social media, our website, our events in person. And then, the app will be coming very soon. Yeah. So stay tuned.
And setting it up from a process improvement standpoint, because this is a new business, right? So we are listening to the feedback of our vendors, and we want to have everything set up to where we can make those improvements. Yeah. And it's not just going to be like, we hear you and we aren't going to do anything.
Right.
We want to build this platform to where we're actually responsive for our vendors and improving everything that hasn't been done in the industry yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It wouldn't make any sense to me not to listen to those people, right?
Right.
I mean, they're telling you literally what they want from the thing, so they'll continue to use it.
We just had a comment last night on Instagram, and I don't have my phone, but it was a photographer, a wedding photographer. I don't know if you saw, but he did. Yeah, he commented and said, it was pretty late last night. He commented and said, I'm so glad that you guys are doing this, essentially, because and he mentioned a couple other corporate companies, and he said that they, like bigger ones, that they're just have monopolized it and it's kind of gone downhill, and that they're happy that there's something like this local. There's a lot of wedding resources in Central Kentucky that are amazing, but I'm really glad we're consolidating it all into one platform, the app in our website, which obviously that's multiple platforms, but you know what I mean? We're consolidating it essentially and trying to make it easier. And we do want to expand in Kentucky. Like we want to go to Louisville. We want to go to Bowling Green, someday. So ideally we want to expand, but right now our main focus is Lexington, Richmond, and then Louisville very shortly after.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that some of the more corporate type things are just all about the dollar and how much return they're going to get, and they don't really care how effective it is.
It's not really, they've almost gotten too big, and I think that a lot of small vendors, like a makeup artist or even somebody who does something for a wedding that's not really necessarily maybe the biggest profit. Like obviously venues tend to make quite a bit of profit in the wedding industry, but then there's other vendors in the wedding industry that their ticket item, whatever it may only be like $100-$200 depending on what it is. So those vendors can't afford a $1,200 package on a big corporate company that I'm
got to have like 12 weddings or something just break even on even participating.
Exactly. So right now we have early bird pricing. And that's just because we are so new and we are trying to gather data and get more vendors on board and then really just start to grow from there. So right now our basic package is $19 a month for the early bird special. And anyone who gets on a package right now with us will actually get a free booth at our wedding show July 9th, which is a ton of value right there because wedding shows typically are $500 to $2,000.
That's where they make their money, right? Selling the booth space. So
you book one wedding and that's a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited for that show.
Yeah. And I think another cool thing is that since we are local, you can just pick up the phone and call us. Or if you have a question or if there's something that you need help with, we're here to help, right?
Yeah.
So
literally meet in person.
Right.
You can't really do that with many other apps I could think of. So,
yeah.
No, that's awesome.
And we want to meet our vendors and be very active and present
and use them. Like we used Rachel that's on the app. She did our makeup yesterday. Like
and cookies. We have a girl who her name's Shelby, Sweetened by Shelby, and she makes the most delicious cookies and she decorates them really cute, which those are obviously very trendy for events and weddings. So she's on the app and we'll be at the bridal show, and she actually made us some vendor social cookies. We hired her.
Oh, cool.
And we took those to the studio yesterday to Fox. So we are using these vendors. We are supporting them however we can. Yeah. And I think it's very helpful that the founders of the vendor social are both tied to the industry. We're not just like corporate sharks. We're like Madison's family actually owns SMK Wedding Venue.
Right.
And this is where our show is. And then I do day of coordination. She also recently just got married and she has a corporate job and she manages projects and streamlines things and deals with a lot of... So who better to
do all of that, right? Yeah. You guys are like the perfect intersection of all that.
Yeah. And then I'm more of the PR, marketing, creative side. And I also do day of coordinating. So yeah, it just works out well.
We feel the struggle.
Yeah, we know the struggle. Like we
struggle.
Actually know it. Yeah. We're not just... out here.
We're here to help.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about some like UGC kind of stuff. And I am kind of curious because we work in that space too. So like, what are you seeing with UGC creators?
So mainly I own local PR agency, Sass and Bluegrass, and mainly our clients mainly are in the food space, restaurant space. So I'm seeing a lot of people taste test. I know that's really trendy now to like test food, rate it, give your feedback on it. So we're getting a lot of people taste testing my clients' products, whether it's going to the restaurant or us sending them. I have another client who's a salsa client, Scream and Mimi Salsa. I do their social media. So, we're sending influencers, PR packages. That's been helping a lot. But for vendor social, we're getting a lot of just genuine engagement. And I think that that's the most important thing, is that these comments are genuine instead of maybe just an emoji. It's a whole conversation, like our photographer last night who basically was thanking us for starting this company. And I would say genuine engagement is what's priority. So
UGC's really kind of evolved, it seems like, over the last handful of years. And I'm not sure, I would love to get your take on it specifically, because I think in a lot of ways it's good. In some ways I'm like, are we undermining what we're doing? Like, because back in the day, think of like OG Instagram, right? Like you would go out and go to a restaurant, you'd eat some food, you'd love it, you take the picture and share it with people, and that was it. But now people have figured out the game of, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to make content, and I'm going to hold it hostage by sending a DM to the brand and being like, hey, I got a bunch of videos I've made at your place. If you want them, let me know. Here's my pricing. And it's like,
some
I don't know about that.
It is like that sometimes, but I think what's most successful is when you can try to get like as organic content as possible. And that's what I shoot for. And I think that's what we're going to shoot for vendor social too. Like, we already have some amazing ideas for how we're going to have people share about us in our event. And it just kind of prompts them to. We want to make it easy for the user to create content. So we have a really cool backdrop idea planned, which everyone loves, a good photo op. Yeah. So that'll be, and then also we have some other like giveaways planned and some other things at the show that I think will help people start tagging us, sharing us, and just really like getting our name out there.
Yeah, and we've had giveables on our Instagram with
that
some
was
of our
huge,
vendors.
Yeah. The Grove is a vendor, and that was a really successful giveaway.
Yeah.
They partnered with us, and we're happy to have them on, because the Grove, I mean, that they've just taken off.
Yeah. It's a beautiful space down there too. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. I'm wondering, like, I don't know, off the cuff, just had a random idea, but it's like, if I'm using one of your vendors, is there any way to like create that UGC at the wedding shower or whatever it is, and get that piece of content like linked to that vendor, and it shows up as like almost like a review, you know what I mean?
In the app. I think down the road we have some ideas for some features that not exactly that, but that are similar to that we want to implement in the app. But for version 1, it's going to be as polished as possible, but it's still going to be version 1. Like, we're definitely going to have updates. There's definitely things that I have a wish list, literally like a wish list of features we want in the app. And reviews is one of them, to where they can add photos, or it can link to the Google reviews site, or it can link to more stuff about the vendor. So we have a whole wish list of things that we are going to be adding, but I think that's a great idea. And I think ideally we would love one day to see someone organically tag us in a story and say, shout out to the Vendor Social app for helping me plan my wedding in 2 hours, instead of spending months trying to find vendors who maybe don't even fit your needs or are booked that day.
Yeah.
That's certainly like the ultimate value prop right there, is time saving. So that's awesome. And how do you use like influencer marketing with something like this?
We haven't started influencer marketing yet. I would say the main things that I've seen with influencers though is they have shared, like we've had a couple influencers who just out of the kindness of their heart have shared our show. We've posted about the bridal show, and they've shared that to their stories. So that's been helpful as well, and has brought over some followers and helped kind of spread our reach. Like our reach has been pretty successful, and we just want to keep going on social media. And
right now we're just getting everyone excited.
Yeah.
So
and trying to spread the message about the app too.
Yeah.
That's
it's
cool.
coming.
Yeah.
For sure.
So again, I'm kind of curious your take on like influencer marketing and where that kind of stands right now.
I think for us, we are trying to do things more organically right now, and like just have it be Madison and I right now. Like a lot of influencer marketing is not free, as you know. So right now we are trying to invest in other forms of marketing, but it's not something that we're not going to do in the future. Like
how in 2023, how do you find an influencer that's actually going to provide some sort of ROI?
Yeah, I think
because so many people call themselves an influencer, and
we're all influencers.
You go down like the rabbit hole and you look at it, and it's like, but you get like no engagement.
You want someone that's actually like interested in your topic. Like for us, for Vendor Social, I would love to find at some point a newly engaged person who also likes to post about local businesses. And maybe we partner with them in the future and have them use our app to plan their wedding. And that would be very on brand. And that's actually something, if the person's passionate about it and actually has an interest in it, I think that's going to deliver way better ROI than someone who doesn't even really talk about that stuff ever, and then you go to them, they have to be related. Like for me, for my PR agency, I try to work with influencers who are passionate about local businesses, but also foodies, because I deal with restaurants mainly. So I think they just have to be related.
Yeah, they have to match the brand.
Yeah, they have to be on brand.
Yeah.
Very much on brand.
So what were you doing before you really started this venture?
Trying to plan a wedding.
Was that all of life?
No. So I have a background in operations, process improvement. And so that is really what created this idea, is because I was planning my wedding and my background is in operations. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way, because this process stinks. Like, this is not enjoyable. And so using my background, I have an MBA and came from supply chain. I'm now over in sales operations, but just trying to use my knowledge to help this industry.
Were you doing stuff with supply chain during COVID?
I was
entire nightmare?
I was in environmental health and safety when COVID hit.
Okay.
So I was on the floor trying to keep all of our employees safe and not spread COVID. It was a wild ride.
Got it. So
it's tough.
So why is this full time? What you're doing right now?
No, vendor social, no.
Okay. So what do you do full time?
So I am a senior sales operations analyst at GE Appliances.
Gotcha. How do you enjoy that?
I love it. Yeah. So I came from supply chain.
Yeah.
Got my MBA. Now I'm in the commercial world, and actually being able to support the sales team and creating processes for somewhat of a startup within GE Appliances in our air and water sector.
Gotcha.
So that's what I do
Air
in the
and
daytime.
water. What does
Air
that
and water.
mean?
So that's like
Yeah.
your air conditioning, your
That
water
makes sense.
heaters. Yeah. Water
Madison's
heaters.
air and
awesome.
water?
She's so good at streamlining processes. I can tell that.
That's what I do day and night now.
I can tell. Yeah.
Which
now
totally
that
makes sense, putting the app together
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
processes behind that and everything else.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So she lives in Louisville, and it's only an hour away. I do wish she lived closer, though.
Yeah.
I wish we lived like right by each other, because we're always talking about vendor social, having random
Trying to
meetings.
plan weekends, yeah.
Yeah. Plan weekends and having random meetings after our day jobs.
Yeah.
But the goal eventually would be to have vendor social just kind of take over.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm
Any
feeling
sort of
pretty good.
timeline or outlook for that? Or just going to let it happen whenever it happens?
I think we'll start actually looking at that whenever the app launches.
Yeah.
And seeing that process, because I mean, right now, Miranda and I talk on the phone for like hours after our day job.
Yeah.
We're just like walking our dogs on
Yeah.
the phone.
I'm folding
Which-
laundry.
Yeah, it gets us more steps in. And
Yeah.
But I think we'll take a serious look at it after the app
Yeah.
and see how that does, because the idea is to expand, right?
Yeah.
So right now we are in Central Kentucky, mainly in Richmond and Lexington. I'm in Louisville, so it makes sense to organically move into Louisville space. But there's so many great vendors here in Kentucky that just need to be highlighted on a platform.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people around that I had no idea do whatever they do. Like, I started this networking group because like a lot of people will come up to me and be like, hey, do you do graphic design? No, I don't. But I know a lot of people that do it, but I don't know them personally. And I haven't sort of like vetted them myself to know, is that somebody I should recommend, So I'd love to have more of those personal relationships with people to be able to recommend.
Yeah.
So
Your Kentucky Creatives meetups.
yeah.
Is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
I
mean,
got to
they're-
come to one. Every time you have them, I have something going on.
that's all right. The third Thursday of every month.
Third
Trying to,
Thursday.
if I try to keep it like that, maybe that's useful. I
Yeah.
try to get feedback for people too, to figure out like, is time frame, is the day of the week?
Yeah.
Does this
I saw
make
you did
sense
some
or not?
polls and stuff on your stories. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Too. And you can like let people RSVP and like respond to a story. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice to know how many
Yeah.
people might be coming,
Yeah.
but there's so many creative people around.
Are you
And
mainly
it seems-
having
Yeah.
photographers and videographers and graphic artists at that
At that
type of
kind of
meetup?
thing?
Or is it like anyone who makes physical things or like wedding vendors?
Yeah, so there have been
or-
a lot of like photographers, videographers, but I mean, we just had one 2 days ago, and there was like a bookbinder was there, somebody that does
okay.
like model train kind of stuff as well.
Okay.
Do they display do they display what they
No,
work
just-
on, or just talking?
No, just literally
like a
show up and
meetup,
chill.
networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I mean, try to keep it super low cost, which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't charge anybody to show
Yeah.
up to this.
Yeah.
Really a value kind of thing. It started selfishly because I wanted to meet people, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of value, I think, to people that show up in the room.
Yeah, and it's a
mean,
free
I don't-
networking event, you know?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, they think of a networking event that they're going to create themselves as another stream of revenue.
Yeah.
And I do not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to make money
wanna
off of
meet
that. I just
cool
want to meet
people.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, and most people, like if you're the connector, that's where, a lot of your sort of value comes from,
Yeah.
So value doesn't have to be money.
Yeah,
It could be in that
absolutely.
connection. But yeah, which is obviously what you all are doing. You're being connectors, right?
Right.
Which I think that's really cool.
Yeah, connecting the vendors with the people that need the vendors.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the correct ones too. Like we want to make sure that people are like
Right.
getting vendors that definitely suit their needs. And so that's what we're trying to do is and that takes a lot of time to create the questions, and shout out to Madison. She's been amazing on helping with some of this back end stuff that the public doesn't see,
But everything that's in the public eye is all Miranda.
I have to work on the creatives and the PR, but we also just hired Kelsey to help us part-time, and she's awesome. She's been helping create some content and get behind the scenes stuff. Today, shout out, we have our boyfriend and her husband is here taking videos behind the scenes.
Probably see that on Instagram.
Yep, you'll probably see some stuff on social media. Thanks, Josh and Michael.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all.
But talking about influencers, Kelsey is a Gen Zer, and she can throw together a reel like
no other. Oh yeah,
in like
the Gen Zers.
Seconds.
She's real good. Yeah, she's 20, and she's even taught me some things, and I was like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, it's funny how much social has evolved.
Yeah,
even in like last 3 years since TikTok kind of taking over.
Yeah. There's been so many scares. Is TikTok going to go away? Is it not going to go away? Are they going to ban it? Like, I'm sure you've talked about that,
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I had at one point for my PR agency, I had several packages that included TikTok as me doing TikTok for these restaurants. And none of my restaurants wanted it. No, none of them.
Did they say why?
One of them did say because they thought it was going to get banned. And then others, I think it was a budget thing because obviously that's more work. So it was a more expensive package because I was on
all video.
I was on more platforms for them. So that was a big thing too. And a lot of them were just like, no, we're really content with what you're doing. We're really happy. We want to be in the Instagram, Facebook world. Like they didn't want it. And that's maybe just my experience. Of course, I'm sure there's lots of businesses who love and want it to. I don't know what the last word was. I think they are keeping it around.
I mean, Montana just banned it, but I think that's totally political. Of just like we want
Montana.
Look like
is there
we're
even people
something.
in Montana? How many people are in there? Like
it's
10
about
people?
3 goats.
Three goats?
Like a person. Yeah,
really
I think that's what's going on out there.
I think if it goes away, there will definitely be something else. What was that old platform that was 7-second videos?
Vine?
Vine.
Yeah, 6 seconds, I think.
Vine.
6 seconds. Yeah, so if it goes
Whatever
away,
happened to Vine? Whatever happened to Vine?
TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah. But it is kind of funny to see the crossover. The Vine stars are killing it over on TikTok.
Oh, it's insane.
They know the game.
How much some of these
Which
creators
Vine was
make.
gone for a while.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, what did those people do for those years that Vine was gone and before TikTok really started? I don't know. But now they're back.
Wild.
Maybe it's YouTube.
I'm still thinking about MySpace. I'm like...
Putting music
Bring
on
back
your...
the 8 friends.
Yeah, I love it. The top friends. I love that.
Yeah.
It's very nostalgic.
That makes me think, like, where does Instagram get its interest in, like, how they are actually evolving? Because it doesn't seem to map to what anybody wants. Like, they come up with closest friends, and it's like, nobody's really using that.
Yeah.
And you just brought up, like, the 8 friends that you had on MySpace, and conveniently, I think close friends on Instagram might be, is it 8 people?
No, you can add way more.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You can add more.
It started as like 8 or 10, right?
Not a lot of people use the close friends that I know of.
Yeah. Or we're just not close friends with anybody.
Or just
so maybe that's it. I don't know.
You don't see the green star.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah.
But even Reels. Reels is TikToks, basically, on Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Instagram during COVID was such a hot mess.
Yes.
They did not know. I mean, they've completely lost who they are.
Yeah. I mean, you've called him out a couple times.
Yeah.
I've seen some of your videos. He's called him out a couple times.
Here's another feature that nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Like, just
I was like,
unbelievable.
he's bold.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes complete sense that they consolidated, though, because... Like IGTV was a disaster from the second they launched
I forgot about that.
They buried it. You couldn't even find it.
Yeah.
There was no mechanism to even get there unless one showed up in your page, and then you could actually get there by tapping on it.
Yeah.
It was just like this wild ride of like, and in the spirit of you all building an app, it's like, do you guys even use your own app?
Right.
Like how in the world?
Yeah.
Like you don't know that you can't navigate to something.
Yeah.
You don't know that these things don't function. Maybe they do know, but they don't have a fix.
Or they're
I
out
don't
of
know,
touch.
but like
I'm
it's
sure
just
they receive
wild.
the feedback and they just aren't listening to their users.
It doesn't seem like they listen at all. I mean, Adam is always coming on and here's another hidden gem. I'm like, nobody cares about that, dude.
Yeah.
Like people are telling you
That's
literally
like exactly
in
what
the
he
comment
says. Here's
section
another
right
hidden
here.
gem.
Yeah. Jeez.
It's like, read the comments. They probably don't, though.
And then they come up with the broadcast channels that are like buried in your DMs. I'm like, nobody's using that.
Yeah.
Every time a new feature comes out, people are like, oh my gosh, we got to get on this. I'm like, nope.
Sounds like everyone delete Instagram and download the Vendor Social app.
Yes,
that's what I'm hearing.
Nice plug.
That's what I'm hearing. Right
I love it. You're learning. Good job.
But yeah, like in the social world, it's like if it doesn't feel right, if it hasn't been on your radar, then I think you should pay attention to that moment. Be like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, then should you really adopt this?
Right.
Like, it just feels like, again, for Instagram, like they put new features out there that nobody asked for because they think that they're like going to train people. But it's like you have to go with the behaviors that already exist and help that.
And I think going through the process of creating an app right now to where we go through the test modes of each phase. So we just sat down and looked at one phase last night. And so it's funny because now I know that people behind Instagram has to go through and test this app, these features before it's released. And they're probably sitting in their office like, this is great. But how many people are actually looking at those functions before it's released?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was at a tech conference in, I think it was Atlanta last year. And there's a senior engineer from Meta that was there. And like her job specifically is the one to lead up the music sticker that's inside of Instagram.
Okay.
So, you open up stories, you hit the sticker thing, you can add music. Like that was her job, was leading that team.
That's cool.
And she was talking about their meetings at Meta and Instagram specifically. She said literally every meeting starts with, okay, what are we going to rip off of TikTok? I'm like, that is just a total defensive. How in the world do you run
said that?
Yeah. Like how in the world do you run a company where you're just walking in playing defense the entire time? You're not doing anything on offense to like just be you. And that is just absolutely wild to me.
That's wild.
At
some point on the Vendor Social at some point, and this might be like a year or two down the road after we've done a couple updates, I would love the ability to have more of an opportunity to have like conversations and forums and comments and engagement on there as well.
I'd be curious to know like the regulations behind all that stuff, Like if you're going to allow people to talk to each other, like you have to, are there legal things that I'm sure you have to.
I'm sure there are.
Definitely.
There has to be someone monitoring it.
Yeah.
Miranda and I do not have the capacity to do that right now.
That's later on when we have a team of people, we'll hire moderators.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously one of the massive problems that's, part of the TikTok conversation and really for Meta in general
and
as
security.
well.
A lot of people have been getting spammed lately. Like there was literally a local business last night. I don't even remember which one, but someone hacked their account and just posted a selfie. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, change your passwords, people. Stay on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all better stay on it.
Well, and like Twitter just, they just encrypted all their DMs. So like literally nobody can look at what your DMs are. And in a lot of ways, people love that because they think, well, nobody's going to come look at whatever the private conversation. Great, cool. But at the same time, you have to think of the bad actors out there.
Right.
Like, how do you help to prosecute when you don't, when the evidence is there, but you can't get to it, like.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So anyway, it sounds like future conversations for you all if you end up doing a DM feature or something.
We'll definitely be sure to hire a legal team for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But this is great. I really appreciate you all coming on
Thanks for
a Saturday for doing this.
Yeah.
This has been fun. We feel honored to be here on a Saturday. Like, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's no problem.
This is awesome.
It's a good time.
And I love that we all have our coffee except for her.
Right?
I had it earlier.
What'd you get? What's your coffee order?
It's just a iced mocha with oat milk.
Nice.
Delicious.
I got a white mocha from High on Arton Coffee. Or High on Arton.
See, I would have been bad.
Okay, I had to think of where that was. It's over Woodland. Right? Okay, cool. I don't know if I've ever actually been in there.
You should go.
I know there's always a line out, which
really
is
good.
Probably why I never ended up going.
They make homemade whipped cream, and they have like different flavors of whipped cream. So I have hazelnut whipped cream.
That sounds good and bad for my waistline at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm eyeing it. It looks delicious.
Don't take your baby. Your baby's lactose intolerant.
No. We'll
Yeah.
keep her far, far away for now.
Put the whipped cream on the
Little
side
baby
for her
Hadley.
so you can have extra.
Yeah, I keep wanting to talk to Old School and say like, hey, we should do some sort of partnership here.
Yeah, you should.
I'm always drinking your coffee over here. Like,
I love it. Old School's awesome.
I know. I love it over there too. But
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on.
And it was fun.
Yeah, we should definitely do a follow-up sometime. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, when our app comes out.
Maybe over at Clayton and Croom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drinking something. Yep. I don't know.
Oh, they have what is it on tap? It's not an espresso martini. It's a Manhattan espresso martini.
Oh. Did that happen like since I was there last week? I did not. I mean, the bar was closed, obviously, while we were doing a private thing. But
yeah, I think it was there.
Wow, that sucks. I missed out. Okay, I'll just have to go back.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Put us in the books. Let's go.
Cool. All right, we'll do it. Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Really appreciate you being a loyal listener to the Lexington Business Show. Please go right now and rate and review the podcast, as that is definitely the biggest thing that helps us grow and thrive is the word of mouth created with ratings and reviews. So please go and do that right now. Thanks.